DBMS Important Questions Part 2 SQL. Here the question is about explain the concept of joins in SQL. So here we are going to discuss about two types of joins, inner join and outer join. So first of all, what is meant by the concept of joins? So this join is nothing but a clause, like how you have seen select from where clause, isn't it? So similarly, we have one more clause called as joins, which is used for combining the records from two or more tables in a database. So what is that exactly? So whenever I want the data to be fetched from more than one table, that means I have a query or the question given where I have to depend on more than one table to get the data. In that case, what I do is I simply apply the concept of joins between table 1 and table 2, and there I'll be getting a resultant table which is a combination of table 1 and table 2, and here I'll be applying the condition for the resultant table and get the desired output or the output that is expected in the question given. Hope the concept is clear. So that's why we have something called as joins in SQL. A join is a means of combining the fields from two tables by using the values common to each other. So what is this values common to each other? So what is this line saying about? It is very simple. Keep in mind, there is one main condition that has to be satisfied for applying the joins. So what is that condition? The condition is there should be a common attribute between both the tables. So you can't join any random table. You can't just pick two different tables randomly and apply join over that. So what you have to check over that you have to check whether there is any common attribute existing between both the tables or not. Or else, is there any indirect means of joining the table or not? Even that you have to check. What is this? The indirect means that let's try to understand. So now observe here. I have table student, reserve and book. You did not bother about the sentences given above. Just bother about only these three tables. Student, reserve and book. Now check, is there any link existing between student and reserve? So how can I check it? So before that, you read the query, find the names of the students who have reserved Dbms book or OS book. So here I need the names of the students which I have in the student table. And then I have to get the reserve data which I get from the reserve table. And then I need to check the name of the subject which is provided in the table number 3, that is book table. Now I have to check, is there any link existing between all these three tables or not? So now if you observe, student is having SID which is also being carried in the reserve table. That means here the common attribute is SID. If I have this kind of scenario where there is common attribute, I can simply go for the joins concept without any issues. So here I can join student and reserve very conveniently. And same way, if I look into reserve and the book, so there is one attribute called as ISBN, which is common in both the tables, isn't it? If you observe carefully, ISBN is the common attribute between reserve and book. In that case, even here I can apply the concept of joins. Between which? Between reserve and book table. And check here, is there any link existing between student and book? So right now we have seen two scenarios. First scenario, student and reserve. Second scenario, reserve and book. And now we are checking third scenario, that is between student and book. Is there any common attribute existing there? No, there is no common attribute existing between student and book. Then what should I do? Now I have to check for, is there any other table through which these two tables can be joined? Yes. Now you observe reserve table where I have SID common from student table, ISBN common from book table. In this case, what I can say is the student and book are not directly interlinked, but they are indirectly connected through the reserve table. Hope the concept is clear. Though it is not connected directly, still they are connected indirectly through the reserve table. So this is called the indirect connection. Let's try to go to the concept again back. Let's look back to the conditions again. The first one, there should be common attribute between both the tables. If not, you have to check is there any indirect means of connecting the tables or not, like how we have seen just now. Now get into the example. So here I have two tables, student and reserve. So for your convenience, I'll be changing this name as city. The name of the table is city. So between student and city, check is there any common attribute existing? Yes, there is CID which is common for both the table. In this case, I can know without any doubt say that I can apply the concept of joins between student and reserve. Now, what is the CID and what is the CID with respect to city? Let's try to understand. So when I say about the first attribute of student table, I call it as the primary key. So this is the key which is being used by me for referring to the other content of the table. But there's one more attribute called as CID, which is also a unique ID. But this CID is helping me to connect with the other table. So what I can say is the CID is acting like a foreign key because it is helping me to connect it to the other table. And now this CID in the city table, here I'm calling it as primary key. Why? Because it is acting like a unique ID which is used for referring the contents of city. Whereas in previous case, SID is the unique key for which is used for referring to the contents of student. Okay. So apart from this, the CID in one table is acting like a primary key and in the other table is acting like a foreign key. So in simple, I can say for applying the concept of joins, there should be a foreign key existing. Very simple. The concept of foreign keys and other keys will be have been discussed in one of my videos. This link I'll be providing in the I button. Okay. So let's move on further. So the concept of joins in SQL has been classified basically into two types. One is the inner join, the other one is the outer join. So here I'll be discussing the inner join first and later we'll be moving into the concept of outer join later. Okay, so what is meant by an inner join? Name itself says inner. That means when I merge two tables, table 1 and 2, or if I join two tables, table 1 and 2, the result what I am going to get is the common fields or the common elements from both the tables, like how you can see in the picture. Picture clearly explains about the concept of join. So just follow the picture first and then the concept. So this shaded portion is my output, and what output did I get here? I've got the common elements from table 1 and 2. So that's why I'm calling the concept of inner join as a equi-join as well. So very, very important. What is the other name of inner join? It is equi-join. And the most frequently used joins is the inner join. So this has wide application in the concept of SQL because it will pull the common attributes or common elements out as the output. That means this is one of the joins which has been frequently used, isn't it? Next, the inner join creates new result table by combining the column values to two tables based on the join predicate. So based on what it is going to join, if you have any condition given, you can add the join along with the condition, and based on the condition only you will be getting the output from the resultant join table. Clear? Next, the query compares each row of the table 1 with the table 2 to find all the pairs of rows which satisfy the join predicates. Like how we have seen, only the condition that is being satisfied, only those records will be pulled out. Okay, let's move on further. So this is how the syntax of inner join goes. So first write select table 1 dot column 1 comma table 2 or column 2. So here whatever the columns that we want as the output, those columns you mention in the select clause. Okay, then if you are referring to any of those tables from where you are selecting the column, that table has to be mentioned in the from clause. For example, if I am going to get, if I want my output as column 1 which is available in table 1, that table name I have to mention in the from clause. So the main condition starts from this point where you have to say inner join what the table to which your join has to be applied. So say table 1 has to be joined with table 2, for example. So the first table you mention in the from clause and the second table which has to be joined should be mentioned along with the inner join clause. And then you say the condition using on clause, saying on table 1 dot common field is equal to table 2 dot common field. So what is this common field about? We have seen the foreign key concept just now, isn't it? Where your CID was a common attribute between both the tables, which was helping me to join the student and city, isn't it? So that condition you have to mention. So let's look into the example where the concept will be a little more clear. Right now the syntax is select, mention all the columns along with their column name, I mean table name, and then mention the first table name in the from clause and second table name in the inner join clause using on, and then mention the condition. Okay, now let's go to the example. For the above given two tables, namely student, city, we can apply the inner join. So it will return the record that are matching in both the tables. So what if I apply the concept of inner join on both those tables? Okay, so this will be my output. Let's try to check how we get that output. Okay, so before that, how is my query answered here, saying select star. So we have already mentioned, discussed. So what is the star going to do? Star is going to select all the records. So this has to be in your mind very clearly. If I use star anywhere, that means it is going to be applied on all the records, like how you use control plus A. Isn't it? Same way, if you use star, all the records of the table will be selected. Okay, that means I'm saying I need all the attributes as output in the output table. Okay, now from what is the first table name? That is student. And now I said in inner join you have to mention the name of the second table. So what is the name of the second table? City. And then go for on clause, and now you mention the common attribute condition. So what is that condition? Student dot cid is equal to city dot cid, because you are referring to cid present in student is equal to cid present in the city. This is how the link will be existing between both the tables. Now let's try to check the output. So for your convenience, I have put both the tables here again along with the output. Okay, so 1, 2, and this is the output. So let's try to analyze. So how is this inner join going to work? It is going to pull the common elements out, isn't it? Now let's try to check what are the common elements. When I look into first and second table, the common elements are 101, 101, and whose SID is 1. So try to copy all the data there. 101, whose name is Ram, and whose city is Pune. Okay, hello, again 101 and Pune. So before that, the output should carry all the attributes SID, CID, SNAME, and second attribute, second table contains CID and CNAME. Okay, now let's go to the second record, saying 102, I mean second SID 101. Shyam, and again what is the Shyam going to carry? 101 Pune. So this is the common record calculated. So next try to check 3, 1 or 2. Is 1 or 2 available in the second table? Yes, it is available. So obviously the data of 1 or 2 is carried to Sita as well. So that's what 3, 1 or 2 Sita, 1 or 2 Mumbai. And last one, if you check, there is no value called null in the second table. At the same time, there is no data of 1 or 3 in the first table. So this one and this one are cancelled. So this will be the final output. Hope the concept is clear. Thank you very much.